well, moving on.
All right.
Real quick, our own Taylor Page actually submitted this story earlier.
By our own, you mean your own.
She submitted this story earlier in the week.
Yeah. What, she rolled over and handed it to you in bed? Turned off the alarm clock and said, "Here, I got this for you, honey."
Right.
Is that how that went?
Yep. And I said, "Go pack my lunch, bitch. I got to go to work."
Said, "Ew, this condom's stuck to my leg."
Mm-hmm. We covered this story a few months ago.
Yeah.
Do you remember we covered a story about an ex-NFL cheerleader who was a cheerleader for the Ravens?
Yeah.
She got busted for having sex with a minor.
Yeah, I remember that.
Do you remember that?
Uh-huh.
Well, she got sentenced this week.
Oh, good.
Ex-NFL cheerleader sentenced for raping I like to put this in parentheses or in quotes.
Yeah.
Raping.
Yeah.
A 15-year-old boy.
Yeah. Who was all smiles every time she raped him.
Exactly.
Right.
At the end of the day, there's nothing that we can do to take this pain away from him, the victim's father said.
Stop it.
The pain.
You know, and I know, and everybody knows, including this father, that the only time this kid started crying that there was pain was when this pussy went away.
Exactly.
When he was fucking a Raiders cheerleader? Dude, I would cry now if I was getting the chance to fuck a Raiders cheerleader or a Ravens cheerleader and then it went away.
Right.
Be upset now.
Exactly.
15 years old? Man, what kind of game can you have at 15 years old that you can get one of the top 300 best looking women in the country to fuck you?
Exactly.
At 15, man, you gotta be right. What does this kid have this chick, think about it.
Yeah, she had access to multi-million-dollar players.
Yeah, 53 of them every day.
Yeah.
53 guys, there's probably $500 million of cock running around in front of her.
$500 million of cock.
Well, seriously.
I think that's the title of this segment. $500 million of cock.
There you go. She's got $500 million worth of cock running around in front of her, and she chooses a 15-year-old kid.
Right.
That kid is a hero, not a fucking victim.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but he is. He's my hero.
He's dealing with the pain of this whole...
The pain.
The pain.
Shut up. The pain his mom and dad found out and turned her in.
Exactly.
That's the pain.
That is the pain.
Yeah.
Georgetown, Delaware.
Mm-hmm.
Former Baltimore Ravens cheerleader Molly Shattuck, Shattuck, where she fucks. Molly, she fucks.
I want to see what she looks like.
She's a blonde. She's a blondie.
Shattuck.
Molly Shattuck.
Let's just see what this 15-year-old was banging. All right. So face, but wow. She was giving that to a 15-year-old?
Yep.
Jesus Christ.
Molly Shattuck was sentenced Friday to 2 years of probation.
Yeah.
You ever notice the chicks always get probation?
Yeah, meanwhile, Jared's going to jail for 5 to 12.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
After pleading guilty to raping
a
15-year-old boy at a vacation rental home in Delaware.
Do you think that they get a lighter sentence because secretly the judges just know that the guys don't give a shit?
Yeah, basically a hot woman banging a teenage boy.
Yeah.
That's every guy's fantasy.
That's a total fantasy.
Every guy's fantasy is just like, I wish I could bang some chick at 15 years old.
It's usually my teacher, but
yeah. But if it were the other way around,
yeah,
under the jail, pal.
Yeah,
you're done.
It's dumb.
Yep.
Should be an equal sentence. She should be doing 5 to 12.
Exactly.
And believe me, I'm for her doing it. Both the jail time and fucking the 15-year-old. Good Lord. All right, if you had a kid.
Yes.
And I do have kids, and I will offer an opinion. If you had a kid, and your kid came home and said, yeah, I'm fucking a cheerleader for the Ravens. Would you go to the police?
No, I don't think so. I would probably say, oof, well, I'm not too sure that that's too cool. But I'm certainly not going to run to the cops.
Yeah. I mean, the only way I could think of, and I obviously have kids, but the only way I could think of that scenario would have happened, that I would have gone to the cops, was if there was some kind of forced circumstance.
Right.
Like she locked him in a car and said the only way they could get out of the car is if they ate her pussy or some shit like that.
Right.
Something like that, maybe.
Sure.
But I'd be more worried about the kidnapping than I'd still be like, all right, you got to eat some pussy. What's the problem?
Right.
And it's some good puss. Wasn't infected, was it? It wasn't black. I'm sorry, that's Neeley is the dad, not me. Sorry. I morphed into you for a second.
The 48-year-old collapsed to her knees in the courtroom after she was sentenced and wept as she apologized.
Well, at least she was practiced at half of that part.
Right. She got on her knees just like she did for him.
That's right.
Shatak.
Before inflicting that pain on his
his pain.
That pain.
Right.
He took having this fucking Ravens cheerleader sucking his 15-year-old dick.
Right.
Right.
Shatak, who received a suspended 15-year prison sentence. Suspended 15-year prison sentence.
15 years suspended.
Yeah. Must report every other weekend to a probation center in Delaware, register as a sex offender, and continue therapy.
That's probably not going to help her career much.
No. Well, she's done. She's 48. She's not going to be a cheerleader.
So when did this happen?
This happened last year.
She was a 47-year-old.
Well, it gets into that, how she became the oldest cheerleader in the NFL.
Okay.
The teen's parents said Shatak, get this is the verbiage that just cracks me up.
All right.
Stole their son's innocence.
Shut the fuck up. Shut up.
And urged the judge to send her to prison to send a message to potential pedophiles.
This kid was totally looking at porn by the time he was 12.
Exactly.
12! Took him 3 years to close the deal, and I wonder if that's the first one he closed the deal with. I doubt.
Yeah. She stole his innocence.
Shut up.
She stole it.
Shut up. Where did they interview her from? Which church? Which church did she make her statement from?
Right.
Fucking idiot.
She took the joy of the virgin man away from his potential wife.
Mom, I know it's gross, but I guarantee you, she didn't take any joy. She gave it.
Right.
She gave the 15-year-old joy.
Yeah.
And when this kid is 22, when he's 22 years old, don't think he's not going to talk about when he was banging out a cheerleader as a fucking high school kid.
Exactly.
With buddies in the bar. He will absolutely tell that story.
You know, when I was 15 years old, I was banging a Ravens cheerleader.
Yeah, look it up. Google it.
Yeah.
That was me. Hell yes, he's gonna win drinks doing that.
Sure.
I'll bet you 2 rounds I can prove that I fucked a Ravens cheerleader when I was still in high school. Want to bet? And people take them all day long on that bet.
Of course they would.
An alcoholic.
Yeah. At the end of the day, there's nothing we can do to take this pain away from him.
Yeah, this pain.
The pain.
Such painful.
The teen's father said.
Now, does it get into exactly what happened here, or does it just...
Well, there's a little bit to it, yes.
Okay.
Yes. The Associated Press is not naming the parents to avoid identifying the teen.
Okay.
Shatak pleaded guilty in June to one felony count of 4th-degree rape.
Okay.
She entered the plea just days before her scheduled trial on 2 counts of a more serious charge of 3rd-degree rape, 4 counts of unlawful sexual contact, and 3 counts of providing alcohol to minors.
All right. Well, that's a little bit of a problem.
That's the one that will get her.
Yep.
The teen, as a classmate of one of Shattuck's children at the McDonough, McDonough,
McDonough High School or whatever?
yeah, in Owings Mills. That's down where Mikey used to live.
Oh, wow. Maybe it's Mikey.
It could be.
Maybe Big Mike is talking about Mikey's pain.
Looking at those classmates Mikey had.
Yeah.
Oof.
I certainly don't think Mikey has enough game to get a Ravens cheerleader.
No. Let's see. Owings Mills, Maryland, told police last September that Shattuck began an inappropriate relationship with him near Baltimore, and that it culminated with sexual activity at a vacation rental home in Bethany Beach over Labor Day weekend.
Wow.
So about a year ago, almost a year ago.
Okay.
The indictment alleged that Shattuck provided alcohol to 3 boys under the legal drinking age on August 30th and August 31st of last year, and that she had sexual contact with one boy on or about August 31st.
Now, those other 2 got to be the ones that are suffering the pain.
Yeah.
You know, how do you like getting that close and then not being able to pull the trigger?
Right.
Be like, God damn it, I almost fucked that cheerleader.
Yeah, unless one of them was her son.
Oh, yeah, maybe.
You know. Shattuck was divorced in November from Mayo Shattuck, former CEO of Baltimore-based Constellation Energy Nuclear Group and current chairman of Chicago-based Exelon Corporation.
I literally just signed a contract with them this week.
Yeah?
I kid you not, with
Really?
Constellation, yeah.
Nice. Exelon, which has electric and gas utilities in Maryland, Illinois, and Pennsylvania, now owns Constellation.
Wow, look at that.
Yep. In 2005, Shattuck became the oldest NFL cheerleader in history up to that time when the Ravens selected her for a squad on her first tryout.
Wow.
She cheered for 2 years and was a part-time coach for 6 more years.
Part-time coach?
Yeah, after she cheered for 2 years, and then after
cheerleader coach.
Well, then she coached the cheerleaders.
Okay, I thought she's like,
no, not a Ravens coach. She was like a cheerleader coach.
Okay.
So she cheered like in 2005 and 2006, and then 5 years after that, she was a cheerleaders coach.
Okay.
Shattuck also worked as a fitness consultant advocate, publishing a book called Vibrant Living last year.
Wow.
After her arrest, Shattuck resigned as a board member of the Baltimore School of Arts, a public high school.
Right.
Shattuck apologized to them who was not, Shattuck apologized to the teen who was not in the court on Friday and his parents.
Because they were in so much pain.
They were in pain.
Yeah.
I take full responsibility for what I did. I never ever intended, obviously, to hurt anybody.
Obviously is right.
I will spend the rest of my life making this right.
How?
I don't know.
By not doing it again?
I guess. Both Shattuck's attorney and the judge noted that she had been publicly humiliated.
Yeah, well, that's her own fault.
Right. The press has also revealed in her fall. The press has also reveled in her fall from prominence in the Baltimore area.
Right.
You're no longer the high horse lady anymore. You're just a lowly whore.
Yeah, pal.
Yeah, that'll teach you.
Yeah, you bitch.
Yeah, why don't you just go out there and, pawn off your wares on the street where you belong?
Now, she could write another book and probably sell it.
Yeah, probably.
Huh? Would you read it?
I don't know.
I might.
At her core, she is a caring, empathetic, good, and decent person.
Yeah, who just happens to fuck underage kids.
Yeah, she just had a hot snatch.
Just like Jared.
Yeah.
At his core, he was trying to help people with their diet.
Yeah, she had a hot snatch. She needed to be banged.
Yeah, maybe the guy at Constellation Energy wasn't giving it to her the right way.
That could be very well. He could be a Viagra, induced kind of guy.
So she went with something that was guaranteed hardness.
Right.
Went to the 15-year-old.
Exactly.
No Viagra need there.
That's true. The prosecutor and the teen's father said Shattuck groomed the teen over several months. I'm going to get
like shaved his cock hair.
It's just like I'm gonna get that cock eventually, there, boy.
She groomed it.
She groomed him.
Carved his initials in his pubes.
Right. This was not a momentary lapse in judgment. She groomed and seduced him, supplied him with alcohol, then took advantage of him, all for her own gratification.
Whatever. And he what? He was tied down. And
he's like, stop riding my cock. Stop it.
He was never on top. See, I think that they should really get into the graphics of this.
Yeah.
If he was ever on top and had like her legs on his shoulders, then it's not rape. Don't you think?
No. Yeah. You know what? I was a teenage boy. You were a teenage boy.
Right.
That's all you ever think about.
That's it.
That's all you ever think about as a teenage boy. It's just like, oh my God, I wish I could get some of that.
Yeah. But I mean, I think in these kind of cases, if it's a chick and she, I guess on any level, it has to, how am I going to put this? Instead of just saying, well, you're underage and that's it, there should be she should be charged with statutory rape, which should be a penalty, but not the Jared rape.
Right.
Not the I'm buying it. I'm up for the highest bidder to get me some fucking slave girl.
Right.
That should be the hard stuff. But for something where clearly the kid as well is voluntary, statutory rape, 3 years, whatever. That should be the penalty. Because the kid is absolutely willing. Enough with this nonsense that the kid is not willing.
Right.
That's nonsense. I'm going to guarantee you in this scenario, that dude couldn't wait to jump on this fucking cheerleader.
Of course not.
I guarantee it. I guarantee she wasn't holding him down and riding his dick. That's not how it went down. They started making out, and this fucking kid, she probably made the first move because she's older.
Right.
But this kid's hands fucking slid right up that blouse, and she didn't stop him, and then it was on.
Right.
That's what happened here. So that kid's culpable too.
Yeah, but see, he's underage, so he can't be held. He can't be held culpable for it.
He should be not. He shouldn't be held legally.
No.
It should be a statutory. Which I also don't think should ride with you for the rest of your life either.
Yeah.
Maybe 10 years. 10 years till you're out of that fucking age. You do a second time. Well, yeah, then it's, then maybe. But, one time, whatever. Thanks for making a kid's dream come true. I mean, raping him. Right?
I agree.
You think this? I'm telling you, when this kid is 25, is he gonna be in some rape counseling session?
Of course not.
My life was ruined, or is he gonna be like, "Fuck yeah, dude"?
He's gonna be bragging about that.
I was banging milfs by the time I was 15.
Yeah, I'm the man.
Yeah, I was getting cougars before I was old enough to be a cub.
Right.
That's what he's gonna be saying. Good on him. Does he get any money at least?
No. I don't think they were suing for civil.
Oh, yet.
That is true. Yet.
That's coming.
Well, speaking of quote unquote rape.
Yeah, but before we get there, roll over and tell Taylor thanks for that story.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Taylor. Thank you for providing us with a continuation of a story that we covered back in June.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.